Grim Reaper gets us all, since we're carbon-based creatures. However, some of these animals found a way to cheat the system. Take cockroaches for example. They can live without their heads for several days. Then there are salamanders that can regrow whatever their heart desires, and even the heart itself. But what will shock you the most are the tardigrades, so keep watching. Here are 12 animals that can live after death.
Slowly, the warmth of spring begins to thaw from the inside out. His heart starts beating.
Number 12. Dancing squid. Soy sauce can spice up a dish for sure, but who knew it was powerful enough to bring back a squid to life? This squid dish is known as the dancing squid rice bowl, or adori don in Japanese. Even though the cuttlefish is dead here, it still moves like it's not. It's not magic, it's science. The squid is fully intact, so even if there's no brain inside, the muscle cells are still there. They react to the sodium chloride or salt in the soy sauce. The muscle cells send electrical commands and the squid starts to do a belly dance. The muscles still have some ATP in them, the main source of energy. When the salt and soy reaches the muscle, the cephalopod basically starts to spasm. Number 11. Cockroaches. We've all heard that cockroaches are absolutely indestructible. They can even survive a nuclear bomb. Some say they can live without their head too. Unlike humans, these cockroaches breathe through a whole network of pipes connected to holes, called the spiracles. Moreover, they don't really have blood, so there's not much circulation of oxygen. Their brain only handles the main sensory input coming in from their eyes and antennae. Many other behaviors such as running and reacting touch are controlled by ganglia in each segment of their bodies. So once their head hits off, they can still go on about their day like nothing happened. In fact, the only problem will be that they won't have a way of ingesting food. We call it the all-new cockroach diet.
Before we move on, we've got a speed challenge for you. If you subscribe to Facts Junkie and hit the bell icon in the next 5 seconds, you'll win 10 years of incredible luck. Give it a shot, it actually works.
Number 10. Chicken. Mammals, including humans, have a very complex circulatory system. This means we can't live without our heads. However, this one chicken beat all odds and managed to wow us all. Like most chickens, this one had the same fate, the axe. However, this beheading went so wrong that it went right to the lucky clucker. The axe missed the jugular vein and a clot prevented Mike the chicken from bleeding to death. Now, without a head, much of his brainstem was still intact, which meant many basic functions such as breathing and heart rate were still healthy. That's not all. Birds have a secondary organ that helps them balance, which means this zombie chicken can even walk around too. This chicken lived 18 long months without any worries at all, and with no brain. Number 9. Bees. Insects have a really weird nervous system, which allows for unusual anomalies all the time. We all know that when a honeybee stings someone, it dies immediately. But the opposite of that is also true. When a bee dies, it can still sting. It has a decentralized nervous system, which allows the bee to dig the sting deeper into its opponent and pump in the venom. So when it comes to freshly decapitated honeybees, they won't go flying near you zombie style. But if you pick them up, you will definitely end up getting stung. Even on their deathbeds, bees lay down all armed up. Number 8. Salamander. Salamanders, especially axolotls, are very cute. They look like they're right out of Alice in Wonderland. However, it's not as magical in the wild. These amphibians are actually cannibals too. In this salamander eats salamander world, these creatures have to develop a defense mechanism, and this mechanism is like no other. When a salamander bites another one, they can simply regrow their limbs. You can't really kill them by chopping up their limbs because they'll just grow back. That too in the same size and orientation too. The best part is that it's not just the limbs. This regeneration power works for their brain, spinal cord, and ovary and lung tissue too. Number 7. Frogs. Death doesn't have to be sudden. Sometimes it's very slow, almost like a freezing cold. But for these wood frogs, that is literally the case. 2/3 of their body turns to ice as a way of their hibernation. If you were to pick them up, they would feel exactly like a popsicle. Their heart stops beating and their blood stops flowing. So technically, they sort of do die, but in more of a stuck in time sort of way. What's more surpassing is that they can withstand temperatures as low as 0 degrees Fahrenheit for more than half a year. Some experiments show that they can stay frozen for temperatures even lower than that. When the time is right, these frogs basically come back to life and thaw out of the cold. What a cool superpower. Number 6. Snakes. Snakes are scary when they're alive. Once you kill them, you probably think you're rid of them. Well, you're probably not. That's because snakes are really good at retaining their reflexes even after they die, which is probably not good news for us. Cobras and rattlesnakes have a stronger bite reflex since they're carnivorous, but their attack can literally occur in less than a second, and sometimes even 0.2 of a second. The ions or electrically charged particles in the nerve cells can stay active hours after death. So if a freshly dead snake gets stimulated, these nerves activate and allow them to bite any unfortunate person that picks it up. That's gotta be a mouthful. Number 5. Praying mantis. When it comes to decapitated venomous creatures, we're scared that they might sting or bite us. But for these poor mantis, it's more about who bites them, especially the males. Female mantis has been known to bite off the head of their mates in a sort of weird cannibalistic ritual. However, they don't always need to do that. If the male is too irritating or hindering the mating process, she'll just take one bite off of the head. A mate and a meal all in one. The most amazing part is that even when the male is dead, decapitated, it can still germinate the female counterpart. Now, that is a weirdly specific skill only gifted by evolution to only the mantis. Number 4. Turtles. Humans might be suffering from coronary heart disease as a whole, but not all vertebrates are affected by it. The red-eared slider turtle is immune from this disease all in all. Heart tissue begins dying as soon as it's out of the body and isn't filled with blood. However, this turtle's tiny heart can live up to 5 days without his body, when there's no oxygen. Its heart rate just drops to about just 10 beats per minute from 25 beats. If the heart is inside the body, the turtle functions fine and healthy with just 10 beats per minute. We can definitely use this information for heart transplants for humans. Number 3. Headless wasp flies. Wasps are insects, and like we already know, insects have a spread out nervous system. They have a central brain with tiny brains called ganglions and a few other places in their body. This weird wasp somehow lost its head, but not much was damaged since its body ganglions were fine and it could fly away. After getting beheaded, it would simply pick up its head and flew away. We're not sure what it would do with that head, but this amount of determination can only be for insects. Number 2. Jellyfish. The jellyfish are a very peculiar creature. They are 75% water, and one of them can live forever. Yes, literally immortal. They can even live after they die. To understand this, you need to know their life cycle. They start off by a fertilized egg, then into a small larva called a planula. This microscopic worm can swim around. When the planula finds a solid surface, it starts to develop a digestive system and can start to feed itself. Then it created a small colony of its own clones. Later, it forms muscles and nerves and becomes an independent organism until it becomes an adult. Now, its way of coping with any deadly situation or threat is to just go back into its life cycle and deep into the polyp stage. It can go back and forth in its life cycle to become what's best for its life. Imagine if humans could go back and forth from babies to teens to adults. Technically, these creatures can potentially live forever with this method. Number 1. Tardigrade. No, we're not talking about the phone booth from Doctor Who. We're talking about these microscopic water bears. These creatures are evolution's best fighters and can be found anywhere from mud volcanoes to the deep seas. They're not picky, which means they can live in extreme temperatures and both ends of the extreme pressures too. In fact, they can withstand radiation, dehydration, as well as starvation. But the most surprising part, they can stay alive in outer space. If that doesn't show you just how unkillable these creatures are, nothing will. Did you know any of the animals that could live even after death? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Facts Junkie, and we'll see you in the next one.